They're going to help you plug in while we're talking.
Okay.
All right. I don't. Is there a hand sound? So just set up and then you should be ready to go at 10:25 and then test it. Hi, everybody. Yay, so many friendly faces in the room. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Should I? I'll wait. Let me know when you're ready. That's my friend, so I can be like that. Welcome. So I'm Susan Amat. I'm the VP for Education at Gen, and we started something very exciting called Gen Accelerates. Last November, we announced it at SNS. One of the key reasons we started Gen Accelerates is that we were working all over the world, helping MDs, developing these amazing relationships between all of you. But sometimes people had really important questions that weren't answered at GES or GEC, SNS, et cetera. And we wanted to do something where we were able to leverage the incredible knowledge and relationships of the network to build something truly extraordinary. Having a network of some of the best ecosystem developers in the world who know their market, who understand different industries, and being able to plug that into when you have an idea for something cross-border. Right now, all of us are working on making sure our entrepreneurs can be as international as quickly as possible. And Gen Accelerates is the tool for you to use that so you can find the best collaborators across the world and do things at scale much more easily and rapidly, with software, support, curriculum to back it up. So I have a couple of wonderful speakers to join me today. I have, where's David Koo? How do I already lose you? Get up here. So David Koo runs Gen Chinese Taipei, and get up here, and has been, I'm sure most of you know, one of the most active members of the Gen Network, co-founder of Gen Asia with an incredible team. And I also have Bijan Ismail, who is the founder of LC Impact. We can sit wherever. Why don't you sit over here and I'll move the chair. And the story today is really simple. We've been running some very, very cool things all over the world. One of the first things we did to kick off was build a Gen MD Accelerator. We had a pilot with 12 MDs over the last 3 months, really focused on how do they provide clarity in their country for why they need to exist. What's the value proposition? How do we make sure they're sustainable as soon as possible? Because if you're adding value, there should be monetization of that value. I know that sounds very capitalistic, but guess what? We're the entrepreneurs. If we're not making sure we're sustainable, it's a little scary to think about what might be the example we're showing all these entrepreneurs we work with. And so David, among many other people, were part of this cohort where it was not just about making sure they had structure and plans for sustainability, but also having them remember that they're not alone. I mean, for many of us, we're the one or a small group of people in our countries who are trying to get stuff going, and we have to be strong and enthusiastic and inspiring all the time. That gets lonely. So having this cohort of people from all over the world going through the same thing, learning best practices, programs that are working or not working, has been a very just wonderful honor for us to be able to participate and support. And Bijan, we actually came in contact with. We won a wonderful contract through DFAT in Australia to support the Frontier Incubator Program. And they had hundreds of applicants from all over the world, and Bijan's group was one of the applicants. And we automatically clicked because he's a super big data nerd like me. And his team has been fantastic to work with. So we're going to go through a couple of case studies. We're also going to share with you what we've been working with at EWC, the Entrepreneurship World Cup, which has been a really important part of kind of telling the story of a different mindset for competitions. It's really about making sure people have education first before they're even asked to fill out an application for the contest. How do we level the playing field so that scientists, technologists who may not have the business background are able to access world-class support and education and make sure they're putting their best foot forward to show that they're actually running incredible businesses or have clarity around challenges that they may have, so that application, the call for the best startups from all over the world, is really at the level it should be. So I'd love to start with David. David, could you tell us a little bit about what you're doing at Gen Taiwan and what we've been doing in the MD program?
Sure. Hi, good morning, everybody. I'm David from Chinese Taipei. So last year at GC plus Taipei, we officially launched the Taipei chapters. We're very excited. We thought, man, everybody's gonna support this. But soon realized that we didn't have a sustainable model. And the most ironic thing is, I am a trained mentor and angel investor. I've been training startup teams with their pitch deck, and little that I know that I didn't know that we didn't have a sustainable model until we heard this great news. Gen Global is actually for the first time having a system in place, having a mentor in place, and most exciting, we have people who are in the same shoes. These are three critical components when you are in the acceleration programs. And I'm very fortunate because by the end of that program, my board members are happy, and we actually brought our first customer, part of our fast prototyping service that we're launching actually this week. Actually, the corporate partner paid their own airplane ticket, flew to here, and presents that, man, we really truly believe this. And this is not possible without this MD program. So Susan, I want to say thank you, you saved my life. My board member is happy. My wife is happy. Everybody know, happy wife, happy lives. So thank you, Susan.
If a spouse is happy that you're running another entrepreneurship thing, I'm sorry, that's the biggest success I can imagine. That's my new metric for success of our MD program.
Sure.
Awesome, great news. And we'll talk more about the new program you're doing, because it was fascinating to see when we started pushing sustainability, the idea came, all of a sudden there's this plan in place, and we're like, okay, how many clients? How are you charging it? What are you doing? What are you doing? Next thing I know, next meeting, there's a client at the price point that actually helps them be paid properly.
Yes.
And have cash flow and a sustainability in very short sight. So it can be done. Capitalism. Bijan, I'm so happy you were able to join us. Tell us a little bit about LC Impact and what we've been doing.
Hi, I'm Bijan. So I co-founded a company called Lightcastle Impact, and my wife is happy as well. Thank you. So at Lightcastle, we're a company based out of Bangladesh, and we have been providing data-driven opportunities for growth to corporate startups and SMEs. So if you want data in Bangladesh, we're the player to go to. And because we work with a lot of data-driven impact, we also run a few accelerator programs and a bit of fund management as well. And I'm so glad that I got to work with Susan through the Frontier Incubators program. So Susan was in Bangladesh earlier this year, and with a fantastic—
And Carlos.
Yeah, Carlos as well. And we had a fantastic time. One of the reasons, I think, because we collect a lot of data from entrepreneurs and from the market, I think it's really important to have the right systems and tools in place so you can collect the right kind of data, you can measure the right kind of metrics. And I think Gen Accelerators is a very interesting and useful platform to do that. Thank you.
Thanks. Well, let's go back to David. So what do you think the biggest surprises were? Because I think one of the challenges are when you're an MD, and especially for all of us who are supporting entrepreneurs all the time, we do know the core piece of product market fit, and there should be a business model. Why do you think it's so hard when we're ecosystem support organizations to have that not be front and center in the plans rolling out these national programs?
I think there are a few blind spots, and to share with you, you guys can laugh at me because after graduation from the program or in the process of the graduation, we basically laugh at the blind spot that we made. It was like, hee, You know, this is a very junior mistake, but I think there are 3 reasons why we need CEO. First, we feel guilty as an ecosystem builder to make money, right? It's perfectly okay for a startup to have money as a process to solve a bigger problem. But you as an ecosystem builder, you as an MD, you're in the same spot. So I think we've been caught of that. When can we do that? Okay. So the Gen Accelerator program made us realize, just like any startup weekend organizer, you need to have a potential business model at day one. So that clicked. The second thing is, we were thinking inside the box. We thought, okay, there's these X amount of great program in Gen Global. We should just follow them and try to customize. But Susan and Carlos basically said, hey, you're an entrepreneur, MD. So you think what's the biggest problem you want to solve? In Taipei, the biggest problem is we have these amazing high-tech semiconductor, but because the global is changing, the startup, the IoT companies come in, they're losing business. So we never had the courage to address that problem. Through the program, we said, we're going to think outside the box. So I called a few chairmen, and very luckily, they are facing the same problem. Number 3, I think is, you always think that your board member should not be bothered. No. With a very cohesive slide that we make progress, we've been sending to the board member, and then at a moment magical, they were all on board. They said, so right now we're working with public listed company, we're working with second generation company to build this fast track program together and have an actual business model in place. So once again, Susan, thank you. You knock and we are awakened.
I think that you hit upon a few really important points I want to make sure everybody hears, because I know there's actually a lot of MDs in the room and a few board members. Number 1, that communication is really, really important, because your board members may be seeing things in the outside the ecosystem that may be opportunities for you to link into. And by making sure that there's constant communication of ideas you have, they may be able to make linkages and pull in people who are not currently in the ecosystem to support you immediately. Number 2, I love the fact that you've been so clear and open and honest about the process of developing this new idea. One of my goals is to deeply understand what's working and not working at the program level for any of you. Why? Because what the process we went through with David to get to this new product that's revenue generating, that solves a massive problem for Taiwan, for entrepreneurs, but not just entrepreneurs in Taiwan, people throughout the world can access this. It's given us a new model to be able to then take to somebody else who's saying, well, we have this expertise and there's these corporates and there's this problem. If there are other countries who are having that problem, that's the connection. I've already started introducing people to David's program. But more importantly, the process of developing the program, we can iterate on that process for any other country to figure out what's that key place where corporates can actually get involved with the Gen affiliate to create a revenue generating opportunity, to tell the world, hey, this is what we're great at. How do we leverage the corporates and actually pull them in to the startup community in your country by having them see the value of your Gen affiliate? So the case study approach of what's working and not working, and if something doesn't work for you, if you went through the process and you tried it and you iterated and it just didn't work, that doesn't mean it may not work under different market conditions in another place. So by storing all of these case studies and the understanding of the business case development of different programs and services you may be running, you have a place now to see what's working and not working in other places. You may want to partner, but at the end of the day, I have very few skill sets. Those of you who know me know this. I'm great at productization. So by productizing David's offering, it may be that he then is able to license it to some of you as a model to use, new revenue generation stream for him. It may need to be tweaked, and that's fine. But that documentation of making sure that when you do something, I don't want to take his IP and give it to somebody else. I want to make sure that it's being done the right way so that the work and effort they put in is really monetized properly, and then they become a resource for you, and they become a partner. At the end of the day, we're one cohort of partners, and I think that's a really, really important key. So, I mean, and the speed by which you did it was incredible. So it's what we expect from our entrepreneurs. We need to turn that lens back on ourselves. So Bijan, I know that we went into our relationship with very specific outputs. Could you spend a minute talking through what the expectations were and where we didn't follow certain things and how great it's been?
Right. So when we started, the partnership, one of the things is that how do you increase brand visibility for the company as a whole and also for Bangladesh as a whole? Because I think that's something that Bangladesh can also work on. But when we started doing that, one of the things that when Susan and Carlos came in said that, what does your team think? So it's not just, you sitting as the founder of the company, but, what do your other founders think and what the team think as a whole? And one of the things we figured out that to get the whole thing in, you need to involve kind of like the whole team and figure out what is the core of your company that your team thinks is going to take it forward. Because at the end of the day, the team is going to execute whatever vision, whatever mission, whatever the points we had. I think so that was a kind of like an internal, as opposed to looking at the external market, you kind of look internally your most important stakeholders who are your team members, people who you spend like 14 to 16 hours a day with, and we kind of co-created the whole vision, mission thing again. And then once you have the vision and the mission laid out, and then you can go forward from there. And that's where we figured that our core at Lightcastle has always been a very important focus on data and how data can be used for better decisions, whether is it to run accelerator programs or to do investments or to just even find business opportunities for growth for corporates. And I think that internal lens that we worked with Susan and Carlos was really helpful and something very interesting we don't often do at Lightcastle.
I think it was especially important for us because we have a brand new Gen affiliate in Bangladesh with incredible leadership. Sabir Khan and his team are world class. And so we went in there to support our Frontiers Accelerator. And his whole goal was, how do we support Bangladesh? But and Bangladesh is an incredible market. There's so much going on and really, really great talent. But Lightcastle is so unique, not just for Bangladesh, but for the region and from my perspective, the world. So making sure that they could actually manage what they were doing at a world-class level and show how special they are, having that global perspective was really key to making sure you guys got to a place where you realize the incredible value you can offer so many of the other Gen programs, and most importantly, really be that partner to Gen Bangladesh to show, we're not only on the rise, we're really world-class right now. So it's just been nothing but an honor. Yay! Exciting times with Gen. So what I'd like to do now is tell you a little bit about the Entrepreneurship World Cup. When we started thinking many years ago about why a kind of software was needed to change the way entrepreneurs were brought into programs, it was really simple. I was running an accelerator where we would have 1,000 applicants for 10 spots. And it was very specific industries, very specific verticals, so it wasn't like open to the world, it was nerds in one industry. And it was incredibly frustrating because they would have these applications and the people with good communication skills rose to the top really quickly because they were able to communicate the business case, the opportunity, the market. People with a little business background, English as a first language, they had this massive advantage. And it really frustrated me because the incredible IP, the technology, the things that they'd been working on for years was often communicated with way too much detail, with way too much focus on one market because they didn't necessarily understand the customer validation piece. And when I would meet these people at different events or they'd come up to me later or looking for introductions, and I would see how different they were in real life versus what was communicated on the page, I knew we needed to find a better way. So when the Entrepreneurship World Cup came to be through the incredible partnership between Jen and Misk, there was this huge opportunity to say, how do we change the way we're able to find the best entrepreneurs? We decided to do it across 3 levels. So idea stage means that idea, there's not much going on there but an idea and a bunch of people who are putting their hearts and souls into the hope of something happening. Early stage means that there's a business. There may or may not be revenue, but they're working full-time towards putting a business to solve a customer need. And then growth stage, which are existing businesses, $1 million plus in revenue, and the results already, it's a couple of months of running right now, but tens of thousands of applicants from over 80 countries. And the shocking thing has been, by the way that we developed the outreach, and most importantly, the engagement, as soon as they submit their individual profile, we're there to educate them as individuals. We're there to make sure that they have what they need to fill out an application that supports them building a good business and represents them properly, and making sure that there's that leveling of playing field, because all of us know we want those kids not just who are coming through accelerators in the big city of their country, but the kids who might be college students who decided to stay in their village and not necessarily have access to the incredible mentors that the rest of us may know. So the ability for them to access content, to do the deliverables, and we've structured it really well, but given them a lot of extra content to be able to use, so if they have interest, it's there for them. Are you all set to go? We'll do a quick demo of a few things. I think that the reason why this platform has been so game-changing for Gen Accelerates, and we run the MD program and any other fellowship or training that we do on it, but we're running Entrepreneurship World Cup on it, because guess what? They may not end up being a finalist. In fact, 100,000 won't be finalists, and that's okay. They now are part of a global community where they're finding each other. We're giving them new content every single week based on their tags of what content they're interested in. We're understanding the challenges they have. We're seeing them put deliverables in for their own teams and themselves, because my goal with this platform is to build data-driven entrepreneurs who are accountable and transparent. Not for us, for them, for their teams, for their investors, and ultimately for their customers. Because if they're not running data-driven businesses, there will be challenges at some point when they decide or hope to scale, because the systems and process won't be in place to make sure they're as efficient as possible, that their margins are high enough to be sustainable, and that they understand how to create cost structures that benefit their customers wherever they may be. So it's really a philosophical change that I think we've brought to Gen to make sure that we're able to meet entrepreneurs wherever they are, and not just with the goal of having them win competitions, but focusing on self-development, self-education. And there will be people who go through this program and say, you know what, that idea wasn't good. I want them to do that before they're done with the application. I want them to pivot and change during the application process, because they can fix those things and go in with the best idea. They can fix their business model, and they can compete properly. So can we move over to the computer so we can show you a couple screenshots? We're going to do a live demo, which is like my 101 not to do and how to do a pitch. But I just want to show you a couple of things. And hopefully the internet's working and everything else is cool. So let me introduce you guys to Carlos Iniguez. He's the director of Gen Accelerates. He is an incredible business person, undergrad and master's in international business. But then he went to go to some special program called Teach for America for 3 years. He taught in middle schools. And this was a really key component for us to build the kind of content that I care about, because it has to be accessible to everyone. So some of the content you're going to be seeing today, Literally, we do with Harvard MBAs who have left industry to start their own businesses, as well as with middle school and high school students. Everyone has to feel it speaks to them, no matter if it's your third language, no matter what level of education you have, and most importantly, if you have no business background, we have to make sure you can communicate what you're doing so that people can support you. Because at the end of the day, it's all about creating a support system. What? So what we'll be showing you first and foremost, and actually, why don't you guys talk about this? Because you've been on the platform, you understand what it's meant to you and the development thus far, while we're waiting for technical issues.
I think everybody knows metrics and OKR, objective key result, are important. I mean, that's what we train the startups. But when you're doing it, it's a whole new experience. So when there's actually homework due, and it highlights, and you're like, holy, I didn't do it. And then we're gonna get on a call with another 10 MDs, I better do it. Well, it becomes a little competition, right? You want it real enough, but you don't want to just say, okay, we're gonna organize 100 events and 10,000. So you're really thinking through the impact for the first time. You know, it may sound like, well, David, it's not that magical, but once you go through that system, it's a very systematic every day, and you do it, and you can compare notes with your MDs. Well, of course, they are the MD, so they do actually see it. But we as a participant, you know there's a systematic approach. If you do X and Y and Z, and one day you're gonna have an amazing business model beyond just a simple pitch deck. So the system actually guides you through that process. And then it's to the point that, man, I wish I know this 10 years ago, right? So I think kudos, the system is great. And then it's more about the mentorship, about the caring, and how the program is carrying out.
And this is a big part of it, because many of us run cohorts, many of us run national programs, and there isn't the clarity on mentor value. There isn't the clarity on margin growth across industry. There isn't the clarity on when people actually say these are our projections and have that comparison point. If that's not documented somewhere with easy reporting, you're missing out on opportunities to fix what isn't working in your programs. It's that simple. We have funds using this for portfolio management. We actually now have funds having applicants for their fund do the due diligence materials online. Everything is in the safe room of the company contextual profile, if you will. And then you're able to track these companies. You can work with them for a year before an investment decision is made, because if they're going to show you that they're not going to follow up on time and show growth in their projected areas, you just saved yourself a ton. Because if they're not doing what you need and giving you the data you need and following up before your investment, you're going to have problems after the investment. Those of us who are running programs, yay! Those of us who are running programs and wanting to train and have disciplined entrepreneurs with data and accountability and metrics, it can't be done on an Excel sheet or calling them and texting them and then somebody emails. It has to be done in a systematic way, so you have the reports at your fingertips. Okay, we can't show any confidential information, but I want to show the EWC kind of process. So that first box right there, so this is the platform page, and this is what we see. So if you're running a program as your Gen affiliate, if you're running an accelerator, if you're running an investment fund, if you're running competitions, this is your back end, right? So that first box, your overdue activities, the goal is to have it be empty. Carlos and I fail at that because we do too much stuff. But for your entrepreneur, they're only getting a few deliverables to get their stuff done. That's it. So the goal is emptiness. Otherwise, you're reminded that you are already failing in being somebody who's accountable for whatever they're being told to do. And the cool thing is, again, with EWC, we're actually seeing teams make their own deliverables for each other in their team, because the goal here is not to have a CEO on a platform. It's to have the entire team learn together. You want your CTO and your CIO to learn finance and respect the finance team and understand goals. You want your CTO to be able to communicate with marketing and have that kind of partnership. So those who want to be proactive, learn. Your activities may range, again, if you're running it at a country level, workshops, live or virtual, hybrid, seminars, every mentoring session. Your mentors are now accountable for there to be mentoring notes with deliverables that they assign. So it's not just your program team doing all the work of managing entrepreneurs, it's your mentors now holding people accountable. Not just doing an email and then nobody follows up and you never hear about it. It's accountability and transparency. So what's really fun is we have a couple of boxes right there in the middle, and this is specific for EWC. When people come on, we want them to be able to find out more about the program so that they can see all the nuances of the expectations, and then to be able to explore content. So the content is really developed in two ways. On this site, it's really focused on you're looking for specific answers to help you fill out your application and answer problems you may have and making sure that you can be as competitive as possible. And we'll show you that content in a minute. But for structured accelerator programs, so EWC in the summer, the top 100, I believe, finalists across the 3 groups are going to be in a structured accelerator program. Virtual, every week, new content based on their level and based on their industry. Deliverables every week. We're going to know who's willing to put in the time for the work and who's not. And guess what? You're rewarded when you do your work on time. Isn't that how life should be? So, scroll down. This discussion board has been so much fun. We literally have tens of thousands of people posting, hey, look at this new article. Here's this video. I just saw this. I just finished this. I'd love feedback. It's been incredible to see how engaging everyone is because they know they're part of a global community. EWC has provided this on-ramp for them. And so having Jen be shown through this light for idea stage entrepreneurs, it gives them a totally different view that they can start thinking about their international opportunities from day one and finding partners. If I know I need some very specific supply or some very specific service performed, I can post it on the discussion board. I can search by my fellow applicants and find partners in any country, well, in at least 80 countries at this point. We're working on it. But it's fascinating to see how open they are with their needs and the trust that's already there because we're coming together as a global community. All right, let's show a little bit of content for EWC, which I think is really fun. We'll just show you a couple of other things, and maybe, do we have time? Yeah, 2 more minutes. Oh, great. So, really simple videos. Oh, don't show a video of me. Okay, good, thank you. Really simple videos, and the fun thing is, you may know what strategic marketing models may be. You may want to watch a 2 or 3 minute reminder of going through due diligence on the strategic side and see different models and how they're explained. Okay, if you have some business background, you watch it and you know. If you don't know, literally templates, step-by-step instructions, and we have it written out, so because some of us need to read something before we watch the video, especially if English is your 2nd or 3rd or 5th language. And some of us can just watch the video and take it from there. But the point is, you're not saying, what do I do next? Googling something, getting lost in a hole of searching through 10 pages to find the right thing. It's all laid out really simply and step by step. And the accelerator programs in the summer are going to be game changers because you're talking about cohorts from all over the world, not saying I'm in a competition, I need to win, this person's doing it this way, I'm going to make sure. No, they're a cohort. They're there to learn together and help each other. So by training them in a way where they're actually learning how to give good feedback to each other, that's what we did with the Gen MD program too. We want them to understand winning and losing doesn't matter. They've already won by getting the training and by being part of this incredible cohort from all over the world who can help them understand different market opportunities and connect them to the right people. Okay, let's go to let's go to some metrics. The other thing that I think is really key here is every single company or project that you're running has their own profile. So we care about documenting at the individual level, growth of individuals, growth of the team as a whole, because sometimes you have people that go through a program who they come in with an amazing idea, and the idea just doesn't work for whatever reason. They may have an existing company that already has real revenue. They realize it's not sustainable. That's a win. But it looks like a loss to outsiders if a company stops after a program. If you're documenting the growth of the individuals going through the program and showing new skill sets they've learned, and then staying in touch with them so their next idea, their next team is in one place so that you can see the impact that has, you now have a longitudinal data set about a person in a community, what programs actually offered value to them. So let's go back to overview. This is a fake profile. Okay, so you're going to have team members. You're going to have anywhere between 1 and 20 some team members we currently have on EWC, for instance. Description, and the cool thing is we really hold them accountable for showing that they're actual businesses. And if they're not, that's okay. But we want to make sure they understand all of the boring stuff, all the operational stuff of documenting and paying taxes and everything is there. Okay. Deliverables, that's everything that they've been assigned to do by a structured program, by a mentor, and sometimes within their team. Again, this is their own project management around building the company. We don't build companies. We build people to execute. Next up, documents. Okay, so this is actually a file system. So if they have 2 program managers and a mentor and a board member on this, they can hold things in one place so that if I have a mentoring meeting with Bijan and he's sharing a whole bunch of stuff with me, and then somebody else on the team or a mentor I bring in who's a trusted, validated mentor wants to be able to see documents that Bijan has approved based on their roles, it's in one place. There's no emails getting lost and we don't know where stuff is. We know who has permissions. We know what's been updated. Metrics. So these are company level metrics. Everything is in one place. Training entrepreneurs early, when they're at the idea stage and they're doing A/B testing and validating. Training them to have documentation and accountability. When I'm going to do a mentoring session, I'm not trying to figure out what to ask them and they're not prepared. It's already there because we set up what metrics we want to see and talk about. Accountability, documentation for their whole team. Oh yeah, and we have a system with thousands of metrics being used all over the world by these entrepreneurs. So if you're just starting out at the company level and you don't know what you should be using or you want ideas, it's there. It's research. Help your entrepreneurs understand all the options. And the goal is not to have them tracking 80 things. But if they're not measuring it, they're not managing it. Products. So each separate product or geography or customer base is separate. It rolls up into the company level. So you may have revenue and growth and number of customers by geography, by product, etc. And then that rolls up for the totals. So you may have a lot of revenue and growth overall, but you might be really failing in one community, one product, etc. Now a mentor is not trying to figure out what to ask. Bad news is great because then you can do something about it. But if you don't know what's working and not working, you're just going to keep doing what you're doing without clarity. So note history is one of my favorite areas because I love this. I mentor all over the world and I have these great conversations. But every entrepreneur I work with, I ask them to find several other people to work with so that they get a Gestalt view. I'm not there to tell them what to do. I'm there to give them my perspective on what they should be thinking about. I don't give answers. So I may have a great relationship with a company, but there's something very specific I want another mentor to talk to them about. I can send an email to that person, but then the other mentors or program managers may never know what happened. And unfortunately, there's turnover in programs. I want to make sure that the documentation for that person and that team is there forever. Sometimes people just don't work out. They're uncoachable, there's challenges. Maybe they do something unethical. I don't want it to be lost in an email from 4 years later when that person comes up again looking to be part of a program. It's all documented. It's holding people accountable. Wait, wait, you're zoomed in really big. Oh, there's no note history here. Okay, that's fine. Settings doesn't matter. And then we have incredible report features, but this is a live site, so we can't go into reporting. The point is real-time reporting across all of those things. And everyone is tagged by industry, by interest area. Everyone is tagged by cohort group. Every mentor is tagged by level of clearance. Investors, board members. I know at a moment's notice what's working and not working, because I'm accountable to look that guy in the eye. I can't look at him in the eye because I'll laugh too much. But I'm accountable for everybody who goes through any of our programs, because the Gen brand is about trust. It's building community. We're there to support you with no conflicts of interest. So if we're not accountable for how we're supporting you, we failed. And I love it when I find out something isn't working well, because it means we get to figure out that nuance, if it's cultural, if it's technical, if it's based on our education or our process. That's the challenge that really always, at the end of the day, gets us excited, because you're our customer. If we're not obsessed with solving the customer problem, we're not good entrepreneurs. And the customer problem that we're trying to solve at Gen Accelerates is making sure you're ready to take on whatever you dream up. We're not pushing products at you. We're helping you think big and making sure you have the transparency and accountability and sustainability of those products, and then sharing all of your successes with the global network. It's that simple. So we're accountable to making sure you know how to execute. Cool? So I covered a lot of stuff. Can you guys share any thoughts on this, because you've spent time on this? You can take this one.
Sure. One of the interesting thing is that for us, collecting data on the entrepreneurs is very important, because the entrepreneur data gives us what's happening in the market. And one of the useful thing is that you can define the metrics any way you like. It's very useful. You can get visualizations done. So for when we're trying to do investor linkages, this comes in very, very handy, because you can just download the metric, says easy, you want to go places, and you send it to your investors. So I think it's easier than trying to do a deck and send it on a periodic basis. Just having them access the platform. That's really useful.
I'm sure some of you or somebody may think that what's so different about this and a Google Sheet, right? We talk about that it's organized, because I used to run Google Sheet. But once the work you do is actually on a Gen Global platform, it gives you that approval. It gives you that accreditation approval. So what I do every time I update my metrics is not mention that there's already templates, so you don't need to Google search. You basically say, oh, this is probably fitted to the stage I am. I'm going to fill it out. What I do is I would do a screenshot with the Gen Global logo and send it to my board member. And little thing that I know, one of the board member actually jumped in to be my co-founder on this fast prototyping service we're launching. I didn't know that little screenshot has a side effect, and it's a positive one. So from now on, I'm no longer going to use the Google Doc Sheets. I'm going to use this one, because it means that there's a lot of care, there's a lot of love.
I think the other cool thing has been the fact that we have thousands of hours of content that we have curated and actually built into different types of curriculum. So when we start, I'll give you a great example, a case study that we're going to be able to share a lot with next year. We are doing a 2-country accelerator system in Central Asia. So 2 countries, we're creating a 10 incubator network in each country, but the cohort of people running the program, they're going to be trained together. So in one city, in one of the countries, they may focus on agriculture. Another may focus on fintech. That means that first and foremost, all of the entrepreneurs, and we white label the site. So each country is going to have their own branded version of this. They will have transparency across what's working and not working for each mentor, for each trainer, for each physical site. But all of the entrepreneurs are not going to have to move to a city wherever they think they're going to get the best mentoring. They can run everything virtually. They can do a virtual program, they can do a live program, they can do a hybrid program. You should stay with your teams and family as long as possible. Then, by helping them have an internationalization opportunity from day one of building their businesses, because they can start validating their assumptions in a secondary market, in the second market they would likely go into while they're ideating. Imagine what the game change that is. And you can find teammates, partners, everyone virtually. There's no asking someone, hey, can you introduce me to this? Because once you've shown that you can follow through and you're accountable and ethical, you will have access to the network. We don't give you search access until somebody locally has validated that you follow through, that you're not full of crap. Wouldn't that be nice if we had that live all the time? So at the end of the day, again, we want honest, ethical entrepreneurship focused on honesty, data, and really obsession with customer problems. That's it. Anything else to add? And we can open up to a couple questions.
I want to add, I mean, I've been doing mentoring for about 4 or 5 years. I wasn't able to conceptualize to the ground level what is mentorship, right? And now with this system, you can basically our incubator, we charge. And it was so hard on the longest time to explain to governments and clients, what are you charging? But now you says, these are 6 weeks, these are the screen we're going to go through, these are the deliverables. So it's not just a Google Doc sheets. It has a higher impact. So just try it, and you probably will just see the miracles.
Some of you may not know, I dropped out of high school when I was 15 because I had a business. And when we create stuff like this, it's for a kid like all of us know who has a big dream and doesn't know the right questions to ask, doesn't know where to go because it's so easy to, I mean, every entrepreneur we know, they think that money and financing is their problem. All of them, right? You ask any entrepreneur, money is the problem. They're usually not communicating well because they don't know what to communicate because they haven't really understood the problem they're solving and the market opportunity. And for most of them, they really don't need money right away to do the testing and validation to make an amazing business case to actually increase their valuation a lot before $1 has been spent. Imagine a world where we actually help them understand that financing is not the #1 problem they have when starting the business. That it's making sure they deeply understand the problem and the skill sets they and their team will need to solve it, putting that action plan in place, and then getting the right investors or partners or board members to execute on that. It really changes the way they operate and take accountability for what's working and not working for themselves. So, any questions? Yes, ma'am. Hi. Hi. Do we have mics? Or I can just come down and I can be... No problem. Thanks for coming. Oops.
Hi, I'm Maria Elena from Argentina. So I run an accelerator for tech startups, and when I think our ecosystem in Argentina has a problem with the quality of the programs. So our Gen affiliate in Argentina, it's a foundation. They're based in Buenos Aires, the biggest city. We're in Córdoba, the second city. So I was thinking, how can we apply this? Because if the foundation is the Gen affiliate, they can, I don't know if the program has a cost or whatever, and we can be the ones that execute it, and like thinking how we can work in collaboration.
Yeah, that's a great example. So the users of this range from the work we're doing here to these country level programs that we're rolling out to programs like African Leadership Academy in Africa and then Zisha Prize to Endeavor Miami. So that's kind of one of the cool things. You decide who you want on it. So having the Gen MD program, having the Gen Argentina brand, then make this available to local accelerators and incubators, that's like my dream. Because imagine if you have a whole bunch of users who may not even have an idea yet, but they come to events, they check in for events, they get feedback on events from you, they go to mentoring sessions, and you're tracking these people, and then all of a sudden they enter a program. And they go through an accelerator here or a university program, and you see the value that they're getting and the skills they've developed. Awesome. Some ideas work, some don't. Then some of them go into another program. So understanding the sequence of development, understanding that this program is amazing at financials, but they're terrible at marketing. And then you're able to help that program actually understand maybe these two accelerators should work together, and this one handles this part of the training and the other one handles the other part. It's really, again, where is the value from training coming from? From specific mentors. If you're finding that all the companies who have super high margins worked with this mentor, man, film him with his masterclass. Have that up there with all the templates and exercises that everyone needs to do, because mentors aren't scalable. And if you find that you have a mentor who is world-class at something specific, turn it into a program. Have everyone go through it before they apply for accelerators. Show that they're willing to be disciplined enough to do the work.
That's great.
Otherwise, they're not going to do the work when they're in your program. They're going to be complaining, oh, I have meetings, I can't show up. After you pay them, after you give them the money. So it's super fun. Really fast. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Last question. I'm sorry I talk so much, and I love my panelists so much, and I hope we've shared with you a really full picture of, is this easy? No, it's a lot of work. Is your team going to have to like literally whip people until the entrepreneurs see their own value? Yes. We do not sell the whips. Maybe we should make Jen branded whips. But for now, it's a lot of work. But if you're not documenting in your team, I don't know what the heck you're doing. Good luck. And most importantly, well, let's hear your question. Sorry, sir.
Okay. Thank you so much. My name is Adulai. I'm from Guinea-Bissau. I'm running an incubator in my country. I understand very clearly what is the goals and advantage for incubators and also for entrepreneurs. But my concern is how we can create a trust between us and entrepreneur about the data, security,
yes.
Data ownership, because it's a lot of information that they.
I'm very happy you asked that. Thank you.
Exactly. So
it's all cloud-based, and we're FERPA compliant, and the entrepreneur owns their data. It's that simple.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why entrepreneurs will actually share data on this, because this becomes their investor reporting tool. By showing a track record, both as individuals and as teams, of delivering, you now are validating to an investor that your program has de-risked the entrepreneur and that they know how to report. It's that simple. The entrepreneurs will continue giving you data long after a program is over, because this is the data they use for their investor reporting. They can have their entire investment board with them on the platform, and we do not share data. This is their data. It's yours to use as you see fit. And if you end up partnering with a university or whatever on country level data, it's anonymous for them to say, in these industries, this is the growth rate of these type of startups. And then you're able to do country level reports on what's working and not working for your program. All right, we have to go.
The last one.
No, there's no last one. You can talk to me after. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you to my wonderful, wonderful panel. Thank you to Carlos for always doing ridiculous things that I ask. And I just am really, really thankful to Jen for being able to create a program that's really about putting the entrepreneurs first, like everything else we do. So thank you, Jonathan, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.